of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. All praises to Allah, the Creator of the universes and their Sustainer, the Provider of believers and unbelievers. And may His choicest blessings be on the seal of His prophets, the last of His messengers and His holy progeny. And in particular, may His special blessings ever continue to flow on that beloved daughter of the Holy Prophet, on Bibi Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alayha. We have started on the last occasion to discuss that illustrious khutbah that Bibi Sayyida alayha salam presented in the court of the Khalif when Fadak had been confiscated. And we saw that she commenced the khutbah with praising Allah, glorified and exalted, and immediately came on describing how Allah, in His generosity and in His benevolence, provided for all the needs of man before man was even sent on earth. And the words that we already have examined were Alhamdulillahi ala ma an'am, all praises to Allah for all that He bestowed, walahu shukr ala ma alham, and all thanks are due to Him for the inspirations that He has given, وَالثَّنَاءُ بِمَا قَدَّمْ, and all praises for Him for what He provided in advance before man came. مِنْ عُمُومِ نِعْمِ ابْتِدَاهَا, He created from favors that were already existed. Min umumi ni'ami ibtidaha, from continuing favors He created everything. In other words, the creation of mankind was not out of matters or requirements that did not exist at the time. Allah, glorified and exalted, had all the matters with Him, had all the requirements with Him. If earth was required for the creation of man, earth was available already. If water was required, all these metals that we see in men were already there, and Allah had already them in ample supplies, and ruh was also available. So because Allah, glorified and exalted, can never be in shortage of anything. Whatever He wants to create, He provides for in ample quantities, and to Him it is kun fayakun, be and everything becomes. But all this, according to Bibi Zahra alayha salam, was already in place, was already in existence. Min umumi ni'ami, from continuing favors, they were there. So it appears that they were in existence for a while, because these are continuing favors. وَسُبُوغِ آلَاءِ أَسْدَاهَا, yes, she says he created out of favors which were prevalent, abundant benefactions which he offered. سُبُوغِ آلَاءِ أَسْدَاهَا وَتَمَامِ نِعْمٍ مِنَنِ أَوْلَاهَا, and perfect grants which He presented. تَمَامِ مِنَنِ, perfect grants which He presented. So you can see that when Allah created men, He did not do so out of ordinary materials. It is indeed from His special favors, from His perfect grants, that He created man, so that man is made in perfection. And then she says, Jamma anil ihsa'i adaduha, plentiful were these favors even to be computable. Such benefactions were too plentiful in their number to compute. Indeed, today when we look at creation, we see the various components that were put into place. We look at ourselves, 19 different metals are used. The hands and the way they work, the nerves, the veins, the arteries, it is a fantastic creation. And all that was in place. And that is only for man. Such is the condition for animals, such is the condition for plants. And animals and plants were already in place when man was created, because they were required for the existence of man, to provide sustenance for man. These are all favors from Allah, glorified and exalted. Favors which we cannot thank Him for. We can only say to Him that your favors are so abundant that we cannot even thank you. And indeed reproduce the words of Bibi Sayyida alayha salam, the way she uses these words in her opening paragraph of her address. So she starts her address setting out these favors from Allah, glorified and exalted, and telling us that even in difficulties, even when you are surrounded by losses, loss of a loving father, loss of a position Allah had given to her husband, loss of property, loss of love, in all such circumstances, the favors of Allah, glorified and exalted, cannot be forgotten. And given the opportunity, she presents these favors with the eloquence and with the beauty that is unsurmountable. That is unsurmountable. Hardly is there, and indeed I dare say there isn't a speech made on the Tawheed of Allah, glorified and exalted, that would surpass the khutbah of Sayyida alayha salam when Fadak was confiscated. In other words, in difficult times, not in times of ease and comfort. So she says, Jamma anil ihsa'i adaduha, the favors that were created for the creation of man are too many, are too plentiful in order even to be computable. There are uncountable favors that Allah, glorified and exalted, used in the creation of mankind. Jamma anil ihsa'i adaduha wa na'i anil jazai amaduha. And the bounties are too vast to measure. Because these bounties flow from all quarters. You look at the plants, they are for the sustenance of mankind. You look at the vast oceans, sustenance for mankind, fish in it, oysters in it. It is incredible. Wherever you look at the heavens, the clouds that provide rain for sustenance of mankind. You look at the sun, the heat that is required for sustenance of mankind. She sums it all up, saying, she's saying, Wanai anil jazai amaduha, and bounties that are too vast even to compute, even to measure, even to mention in her address. She sums it all up in that beautiful way, so that nothing is left unmentioned, and yet all is mentioned in the limited space of time that she had at her disposal. And this is the quality of Ahlulbayt alayhim salam. And this is why we say, show us another household that can compete the household of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his progeny. And indeed, a dress made by a lady who was not used to coming out in the open and speaking to men in the open. And in this gathering, except for the ladies who were with her, it was a gathering of men. And she came out and made this fantastic speech, a speech that has till today remained a perfect, excellent teaching on the Tawheed of Allah, glorified and exalted. And then she says, وَنَاي عَنِ الْجَزَاءِ أَمَدُهَا وَتَفَاوُتْ عَنِ الْأَدْرَاكِ أَمَدُهَا. And their limit was too distant even to realize. Indeed, that is the state of creation. The stars that help us, the sun, the distance of the sun from the earth, and had to be at that distance in order that the earth is not burnt up with the heat of the sun, and the moon and the stars. All these, the distance are too vast even to be computable. The limit was too distant even to realize, according to the words that she used. And وَنَدَبَهُمْ لِسْتِدْرَادَتُهَا بِالشُّكْرِ لِإِدْصَالِهَا. And then she says, he recommended his creatures to gain more from divinity, to more of his Allah's benefaction by being grateful for their continuity. بِالشُّكْرِ لِإِدْصَالِهَا. She recommends to us to be grateful to Allah and to show that gratitude to Allah, so that we can continue to receive that grace from Allah, glorified and exalted. And indeed, we know this even from Quran. She is teaching us what Quran teaches us. لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ وَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. And if you thank Allah for His bounties, He increases them. وَإِن كَافَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. And He says, but if you show ingratitude to me, then my punishment is severe. So the way to live in this world is to thank Allah, and this is only human. It's only natural to appreciate all these bounties that Allah, glorified and exalted, has given us. Bounties for which we cannot even thank Him. Bounties which, as the illustrious lady set out in the preceding sentence, that cannot even be recounted. But thanks are due to Him for all his bounties. And we discussed the words used by Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman, Ajjalallahu farajahu, the 12th Imam alayhi salam, in Dua Iftitah, in the way he describes this situation. 18 hamd of Allah, glorified and exalted, that we discussed in his opening part of Dua Iftitah. It is fantastic the way in which Ahlulbayt alayhimus salam praise Allah, glorified and exalted. For indeed, who knew Allah better than them? They were true and hence another proof that they were true representatives of Allah on earth, who not only described Him in His fullness, but gave us a true notion of Allah, glorified and exalted, as we will keep seeing even in this limited paragraph from Sayyida alayha salam herself. This is the glory of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So she says that the recommendation is to thank Him, because if we thank Him, then His bounties increase and His favors are enhanced. So she teaches that and says that these benefactions were too plentiful to measure, and Allah has recommended to His creatures to gain more of His benefaction by being grateful for their continuity. Well, as I said, statements that are supported by ayats of Quran, and then she makes a fantastic statement. Needless to mention, because all these statements, each superseding the other, each more fantastic than the previous one that we considered. وَإِسْتَحْمَدَ إِلَى الْخَلَائِكِ بِأَجْزَالِهَا. And he says, she says, he made himself praiseworthy by giving generously to his creatures. Wherever you turn, you see a bounty of Allah. So Allah has thereby made Himself praiseworthy. He became praiseworthy by all that He did. He did so because to create man, He needed to provide for man, and He provided for man in advance before man came on earth, so that he had all his necessities available to him. And in making all these provisions, He showed His bounty. He showed His consideration for Allah. Indeed, He made Himself praiseworthy, as she says, by giving generously to His creatures. And all this, and even the requirements that we need, are generously provided. If air is needed, It is there everywhere. There is no place where there is no air. So wherever we are, we can breathe. What a fantastic creation. And what a capacity of this illustrious lady to bring forth these matters in such forthright manner, in praising Allah, glorified and exalted. And it shows that when such a lady praises Allah so much, her aim in going to that court was not to get worldly benefit of Fadak. Worldly benefit she never enjoyed out of Fadak. The fruits of Fadak always went to the poor, to the needy, and to those who needed that benefit from Allah. But she says, وَاسْتَحْمِدَ إِلَى الْخَلَائِقِ, Allah made himself praiseworthy to his creatures, بِأَجْزَالِهَا, by the generosity, by the ample provision that he made for his creatures. And indeed, wherever we turn, we see the bounty of Allah. We have discussed that in Dua Kumail. But this is also true in this speech. Wherever we turn, we see the glory of Allah. We see the bounty of Allah. We see the favor of Allah. We see that we could not have done without that favor that He provided for even before He created. وَثَنَا بِالنُّدْبِ عَلَىٰ أَمْثَالِهَا, and He forbade to appoint anybody of likened to Him. بِأَمْثَالِهَا. He specifically forbade that, because there is nothing that can be compared to Allah, glorified and exalted. It would be a heinous disaster for men to appoint anybody or even to conceive of anybody who can be likened, ma'adallahi ta'ala, to Allah, glorified and exalted. There is nothing like Him, and that surah says it clearly. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. There is nothing that can be likened to Allah, glorified and exalted. It is a disaster to think of Allah having a leg, ma'adallahi ta'ala, which He would put in hell fire, because hell would say, I want more sustenance. It is inconceivable that man should be thinking like this, because Allah Ta'ala, glorified and exalted, has no limbs. If He had limbs, He would be limited. And He is omnipresent. He is everywhere. He is omniscient. He has all the knowledge of all the things that take place at all times. His being, if that is the word I use, is unimaginable. We cannot even sit to think what He is. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. There isn't anything that can be likened unto Him. There isn't anything that can be made a partner to Him. And so we start off with that last ayah of Surah Bani Israel, in which Allah Ta'ala says, وَقُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي لَمْ يَتَّخِذْ صَاحِبَةً وَلَا وَلَدًا وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ شَرِيكٌ فِي الْمُلْكِ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ وَلِيٌّ مِّنَ الظُّلِّ وَكَبِّرْهُ تَكْبِيرًا. That ayah of Quran. He has not taken any person to be a wife or a son. لَمْ يَتَّخِذْ وَلَدًا وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ شَرِيكٌ فِي الْمُلْكِ. And in His sovereignty, He has no partner at all. He has no ministers. He has no partner. He engages in these affairs Himself and alone, and is capable of looking after all this. And is not only capable of looking after men, as we know, in one city, but 6 billion of them at one time throughout the world. And He in His glory spread them out. He need not have spread them out, but He spread them out throughout the world, so that the world is populated, and so that there is His worship throughout the world. If men that existed in all these continents were to worship Allah as Allah needs to be worshipped, the reality, the true substance of Allah, the true meaning of creation would be satisfied. But alas, man has not been grateful to Allah, glorified and exalted. This khutbah that we are discussing was a result of that state of affairs also. So she says that it is important that man does not appoint any person to liken Allah glorified and exalted. Indeed, inna shirka la dhulmun azim, Allah says. To associate him with anything is a dhulm on him, is an injustice on him, is an oppression on Allah glorified and exalted. And azim is a heavy oppression, is a tremendous oppression on Allah glorified and exalted. So it is so important that the tawheed of Allah be kept sublime and supreme. And this illustrious lady does not lose sight of that in all the difficulties that was surrounding her. She makes a specific point to mention this matter, and immediately after mentioning this point, she mentions the kalima of tawheed. She says, "Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah." Having said that that Allah has forbidden us to give him to make any appointment to give likeness to him, because there is nothing that can give likeness to him. No, there isn't anything that is of likeness to him in any respect at all. And we cannot even imagine him. We cannot even sit to conceive what Allah glorified and exalted is. He is Allah, the Creator, the Sublime. And having made that point, she comes to the kalima itself and says, "Wa ashhadu," and I bear witness. Did she need to? But she does this in the illustriousness of Allah glorified and exalted. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. And I bear witness that there is no God except Allah. So you can see the supreme sincerity with which this public declaration is made of her faith. Not that anybody did not know of it, but repetition of it is necessary, and hence it is recommended to us that we too every day say La ilaha illallah. And Allah has been so gracious that He has provided for us in Salah also, in the Salam, well, both in the second rak'ah and in the fourth rak'ah, we say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. That proclamation of the unity of Allah is constantly repeated, because you cannot over repeat it. You cannot overemphasize that importance of Tawheed. So she does publicly. Says, "Wa ashhadu," and I bear witness that there is no God except Allah. Wahdahu, He is alone. He is the only Allah. He has no partner. He has no sharik. And this is important, because the shirk that we are talking about takes various forms. It is not only having a physical partner, but us making money, worship of money, for example, worship of power, worship of position. And these were the matters that were in issue even in the sitting which Sayyida alayha salam was addressing. Well, all those become matters of shirk with Allah glorified and exalted, and all are matters that need to be avoided. She says, "Wahdahu la sharika lah." La sharika lah, He has no partner at all, no partner that is physical, no partner that is conceptual, no partner that is to be attained by worldly favors or for worldly grace. May Allah give us the tawfiq to understand and appreciate this fantastic khutbah of Sayyida Zahra alayha salam, and may Allah multiply His favors on her, and may Allah make us sincere followers of Ahlulbayt alayhi salam.